welcome once again back to Katunkwit Chronicles. I'm here with Ashlyn Kimura, co-host, and she has returned to the hot seat on the other side. So the young lady from Katunkwit has returned, and I'm very pleased to see her face on the other side. We really enjoyed our visit with Anil Steadfast, and she did a fine job, and we got to know a lot about real estate. And now we have the return of Ashlyn.
I'm happy to be back, James. I did need a break from you, but now I'm refreshed and I can continue.
Did you see the panic there was in a lot of my communications?
Yeah, you were going off a crazy, dark path.
Yeah,
of reasons why I wasn't there, and I was like, I'm on vacation.
Yeah, but you didn't say that. What you did was you gave me cryptic, short answers.
I just said I'm going to be gone for the next 2 weeks.
You know when texters thought you might have had a heart attack? I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know, and I was really feeling very vulnerable, as you can tell from my communications.
I liked how you went down I'm really sorry that I didn't push the record button.
Well, I don't even know if the audience knows that there was an occasion where I didn't hit the record button. We had to re-record that episode. Did we do it together, or did you pawn that one off on someone else?
I tried to, but we did it together. But you changed it up again, so it didn't have to.
So you didn't have to listen to the same drivel. Well, I would imagine that you would you look forward to this hour in 10, 20 minutes, and when it's repeated, I think that that's not fun for you. It's hard to keep you amused. Woman of all things, shapes, sizes, and
I do get bored
activities.
easily.
I have
heard this. There was some heavy stuff in that episode, so I was like, I don't know if I can do it again.
Oh, true.
But actually, when we redid it, it was fine. I don't know if you listened to it, but I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I think so too. I was going to ask a little bit about your travels, and I would hope that, if it's not encroaching on your privacy, what's going on? Did you go to Holland?
I did not go to Holland.
Have you been?
Many years ago, I went to Amsterdam.
Yes, just to get some dope.
No.
Look at the strippers.
No, but
in the windows.
We were only supposed to be there for 2 days, and then we were having such a good time that we stayed a couple more days, and we happened to be talking to this girl who was an American and working in a coffee shop. And just got into a conversation, how'd you get here, whatever. And she said, I came for the weekend 3 years ago. And we all looked at each other and we're like, we got to get the hell out of town.
That's a beautiful story, too. I have some stories from there as well. We brought a soccer team there. And we stayed just outside the city the night before we were to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Have I told you this?
No.
And we were going to travel back to the U.S. We had been in country for 17 days traveling around Europe, playing soccer and training during our preseason. So this is when I was with the University of Rhode Island men's soccer program. And so we're in the hotel. It's about 10 o'clock at night, and I just had this, how you have a sense as a coach that something's going down?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have to fly at 6 the next morning. And it's 11. Now it's 11. And I said, I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to take a walk. And I told the head coach, and he said, yeah, whatever. He's sleepy. And I went outside, and there was a person there from the downstairs desk. And that person was asking who the cab was for. Okay? And as soon as that was said, 6 or 7 of my members of my team popped out of there. They were going to go into Amsterdam for the night, which, they were adults, right? But they never made it back to the plane, so we put an end to that. But that wasn't all. That was just one story.
Did you see the Ted Lasso episode when they're in Amsterdam?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw all the Ted Lasso
Yeah,
episodes.
I thought that was kind of a funny episode, and when
Well,
the
yeah,
owner falls into the canal and gets rescued because she doesn't understand that people are biking across the bridges. And
yeah. The only character that I thought in that show, well, it was a lot of hyperbole in the whole thing, truthfully, but it was a nice message, and we can all love the message, right? So be kind, and good things will happen. However, the one character that I didn't think was well drawn out and didn't do women a great service was that particular character, the owner.
mm-hmm.
Who had gone through quite a bit in her life, right? The loss of her husband through infidelity, his owning another team, the ownership of the team, which was, not something that she had any interest in, but, found an interest in, and did quite a good job, ultimately, despite herself, really, despite her disinterest initially. I just thought that, she was, with a woman of that creativity and power and understanding, it was always, manipulated by men.
Well, I think she does grow from that representation throughout this, what was it, 2 seasons? I think she does grow. I think that's part of the story.
I think there could be a spin-off show that, included her, and you see that rest of that development, because it's just... And the other character there, the woman that ultimately she's a promoter or self-promoter or something.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't work for me. And, I know there are people in the world that are perhaps like her, that are responsible for that part of an athlete's promotion and everything, but I don't see how that person could have survived in any formidable way. She just did not do it for me.
It is television.
It's like Twiggy's going to take over the soccer program. Yeah, it is television. I keep forgetting. I expect so much more from all these soccer programs as I watch. But I did enjoy Wrexham. Wonderful. So speaking of TV, what do you think of White Lotus? Are you watching that?
No, I'm not watching that.
On purpose, or just because?
No, because there's so many things to watch, and now, strangely enough, Stuart said, "Oh, I started watching this new series on the plane. I think you like it. Should we start over again?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I watched the first 5 minutes, and I was like, "This doesn't seem very uplifting."
Oh no.
And so,
is it about a plane?
No, we weren't on the plane at this point. We're back home.
Oh, okay.
It's 0 day.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, and he said, "Oh, I sort of found it uplifting," and I was like, "What is uplifting about it?" It's like a cyber hack that causes all these trains, no signals, they crash into each other, people are dying.
End times.
And yeah, sort of. And I just thought it was really funny that he found that uplifting only because the elected officials were trying to be very responsible with dealing with it. And that was enough to make it uplifting given our current, what's actually happening right now.
Wasn't it twisted?
Yes.
Well, Stewart does have a conscience, and so there you have that. As I was going to suggest that you not bother with season 3 on White Lotus.
What is White Lotus about?
Oh, the first 2 seasons were about people that attend they go to a spa, and there's always one that dies, but it's very cleverly created, and there's a lot of visual cues in advance of the show that we kind of like. It's cryptic, so we like that. But this one, not good. It's in Thailand, which really looks wonderful, but I'm just not digging the characters. I don't like any of them yet, so working on that. I don't think I'll watch much more of that. Did you see any of the Oscar winners?
I saw Honora, but I saw it after it won. Because,
I did too, and wow.
I really liked it. I don't know what you thought
I said,
about
wow,
it.
yeah.
I thought,
There was a lot of fucks thrown around for sure, in that show.
and my daughter had warned us, so she had already seen it and watched it again with us, that, there's a lot of sex. It was a lot of lap dancing. It wasn't, you see more graphic sex in other films these days, but I think it was a really timely representation of the poor behavior on the part of the uber rich. There was a lot of social commentary in that film.
Well, at least this case, they were likely oligarchs.
Yeah, so what I wondered was okay, they were Russian oligarchs, but was it really a clever way of pointing out that there are oligarchs everywhere, including here?
It wasn't clever in that respect. No, I would agree. And then I did appreciate the characters, and I've thought of the characters quite a bit since.
Yeah.
In their plight. And then subsequently I watched another movie, which I can't remember the name, but it was made by the same director and writer. And it was about a woman and her daughter who lived at a hotel. So similar, like disadvantaged folks that are just put in untenable situations and have to survive, and either through their wit or their guile or their just tough, and some don't survive. So anyway, I forgot the name of the movie, but I can work on that. So I was in the company of some folks that recently chose college-less paths, And then I just wanted to talk to someone, not my age, but just slightly younger, you. What you thought of this, and now there's this there was a stigma associated with it when I was a young man.
A stigma associated with
not attending college. There was a stigma.
Yeah.
Working class stigma.
This is a problem with our education system in that we don't, we don't value the trades the way we should, and we don't provide students. It's getting a little better now, but we don't provide students in high school with that pathway.
I know some students are, high school students are, getting into good colleges and everything. They go to college for a year, they get out, and they'll maybe go to a mountain, or they'll go to spa and work somewhere in the Caribbean, and then they realize that maybe I should be a plumber, and then they find something else, and that's the weakness of the educational system is right where I was going, because they could have been more, we could have been more enlightened as to the value of those other educational experiences, right? So,
yeah, I also think it's, in this country, college and even some of the trade schools are so expensive, and when you get out of high school, you're so young to drop that kind of money when you really have no idea what you want to do. It's one thing if you're in a country where, college is almost free. Mm-hmm. It gives you a little more leeway. But to drop, who knows what?
I don't know.
$40,000 a year or could be more.
Yeah,
and then it's
I did it.
I don't want to do this, or I just picked this because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I don't know why we're pushing people to do that.
It has worked out for both our families, right? Because I think our children have good experiences, and
my son went to trade school for a year before he went to college.
Well, yeah, that's right. I always thought of that as like college, right?
No, I mean, it's really a trade school.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that was partially because I could see right away that he didn't really want to go to the colleges that he got into. And I was like, that's not what you want to do. Why do it?
What changed his opinion and then changed his mind as to what to do next? So he went to trade school for a year.
Yeah.
Then he went to college somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, he reapplied to a program that was kind of in line with what he was doing in trade school. And
That's
he
right.
got in,
So
and
that's what I remember.
you know, it made sense. And did he enjoy like going to college? Not. I mean, he. If you ask him, he'll say he didn't enjoy any of his schooling. But I think it was good for him, and he made the right choice.
Mm.
And you know, now he has a good career.
Yeah, he does.
But
He's
I think if he hadn't gone to
like-
that year of trade school, he would have been one of these kids that, you know, he would have gotten through college, but he would have just been floundering around and goofing off and partying, and then maybe end up in a job that he really hated.
Well, it is spring break.
Right now?
Yeah. I saw that they're cracking down on drinking at spring break in Miami. I thought that was interesting that they thought that they could crack down on drinking at spring break. Oh, the interesting statistic. I don't usually come up with statistics. I heard this morning.
That would imply research.
The average... Oh, gosh, wait a minute. The average college male student drinks 16 to 24 drinks a week. And the average woman 12 to 16, something like that. So but then on spring break week, that number goes, up to 40 drinks a week. That's a lot of drinks.
Did you ever go on spring break?
I did. Oh, whew. There's a story there.
I didn't. I think the only spring break thing I did was I once went on a ski trip with a bunch of my friends. And yeah, there was a bit of drinking, but we were skiing all day.
Oh gosh, I did not ever go on any spring breaks or any during holidays. I was always working in Narragansett Bay to afford school, right? So I was working. However, on my senior year, I said, I took 19 credits and 19 credits each semester, so the 38 credits to finish. And I was working full time and playing, soccer on the soccer team, and I was also playing on the tennis team. So I was pretty busy, and, I needed to catch up in my senior year. So I didn't work, and that was the year that I was just sitting I was sitting having dinner because I took a lot of night classes because I worked the mornings. And then I'm sitting there, and the captain of the soccer team comes up to me, Bill, and he said, do you want to go on spring break? I said, yeah, sure. And he said, we have a van. It was $76 for the trip, down and back.
Down to what, Florida?
It was Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm.
And $76 you travel. They included gas, and he had it all figured out. He's a business major. And his girlfriend was going, and then 10 other people. So it sounded like fun, right? So, not the ride. Terrible. So we got there, and, we actually stopped in, of all places, Disney World. 10 minutes in Disney World, and I was bored. With that, Mickey Mouse was not for me. I wanted to get to where we're going. And then we got down to Fort Lauderdale. We turned the corner, and there was a Volkswagen with no top on the Volkswagen, with all topless men and women. I don't know if the guys were bottomless, but I didn't care. They were all bouncing around, drinking and driving. It was crazy. It was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. And so we got there, and then Bill immediately shuffled me off to this event that was at the top of the Hyatt hotel in Emirates up there. And it's on the roof, and it's like 800 people, and everybody's drinking. And It's the dating game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not the real one, but very much like it. It all looked like it. And he got me in as one of the contestants. So, of course, he was crazy. He did all the fun stuff like that. But it was always me doing the upfront stuff. So I'm on stage, and I'm Bachelor number 3. And there's questioning going on, and I'm pretending I'm British. The woman doesn't know because she's on the other side. And the crowd loves me. So the final question is like, what's the craziest thing you ever did with an animal? And I said, well, I like to snort cocaine with elephants. And the crowd went berserko, right? Because it was the time, and I never snorted cocaine or anything like that. And certainly,
Or
I
hung
love
out with an
elephants.
elephant.
Or even occasionally I've seen an elephant. But they thought that was the greatest thing. And she did too. And she selected me. So, we meet in front of 800 people. And then it was sponsored by Seagram 7. So they gave us everything that they had. That was Seagram 7. And, this is when Bill's eyes go like this. Like, this is going to be a great party, right? And we had 10 people in our room in the hotel. It was terrible. But we had all the booze we wanted for the week, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then he somehow found 20 or 30 T-shirts. I think they were cigarette T-shirts, But we didn't care. We didn't have any laundry left after a few days, and it seemed like the thing to do. So that was great. We all wore the same thing. So we were like a team. But this woman, part of the deal was we had to go on a date. Mm-hmm. So she asked me, what do you want to do? I said, let's go to the beach tomorrow. So we met at 10:30 in the morning. We met at the beach with lots of Seagram 7. And we're sitting on the beach. And it's still early. And Bill was there, and his girlfriend was there, who became his wife ultimately. And Bill says, let's go for a walk. And they didn't want to. So we just started walking. And I had my wallet with me and my flops or whatever I was wearing. And he said, there's a nude beach down this way. I said, let's go.
Weren't you on a date?
I was on a date. I forgot about that. I wasn't really interested. She doesn't seem interested in me. She was more interested in Bill's girlfriend at the time. Chatting. So we just walked. I said, well, it's this next beach. Let's just go. So we went. Nothing. And they said, oh, it's down there. So we kept walking. We must have walked 10 miles.
Were you a lobster by the end of this?
Oh, yeah. Terrible. But I was a fisherman, so I had a lot of sun anyway. So we get down to this. Finally, there's one woman or a little child and 2 old, really wrinkled men and women, and that was it. So we said, let's abandon this. It must have been 10 miles. I don't even know. But we were talking about the team and everything. So he said, let's go up on the drag there, 1A or whatever it is, because it's just off the beach.
Yep.
And there was one of those ABC drink places there. You can drive in. There's a drive-in store for liquor, and you can buy drinks in a cup. It's a crazy place. Seems like they didn't have any rules. And there was a sign out front that said melon balls, which is a drink, I found out. 50 cents a piece. Because it was, what day was strong.
It? I don't know.
March 17th.
St.
Patrick's Day. And there's 3 people in there, a woman who looked like a little edgy, and then this guy was equally edgy, and maybe they belonged to some nefarious operation. And then there was another man in the corner, and then us drinking. So we had the melon balls, and I had $20. You do the math.
Spent it all?
We did not get home till 1 or 2 in the morning, and we were walking down the middle of Route 1A on Fort Lauderdale Road there, and they had been calling for us for the Coast Guard. We had seen the helicopters coming over. We didn't know. Bad story. Don't ever do that if you're in spring break. Okay, so that was a story that went on way longer than I thought. So that's a spring break story. Canadian real estate. Are you looking?
No.
The exchange rate's good, 120.
Yeah, I was in Canada not that long ago, and I noticed that there was a good exchange rate.
I just wonder if we should take, keep our new car home if we go up there. Because they hate us now.
They don't actually hate us.
They don't?
They hate us. They hate our
a leader?
Administration. But I just spoke with somebody who just came back, and they were very curious.
They didn't get their car keyed or anything like that?
Nope, not at all.
Well, I was just looking at houses there. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, modest home, near the water, somewhat like here, really. Snow and cold, yes.
In Quebec?
No, it was in, I believe, St. John's, this one.
In the east.
Yeah, 200,000.
Yeah.
Out east, I mean, that's me. That's my world.
Yeah,
Lobsters.
you could go.
And
Small fishing villages.
I'll probably find some clams, right? Somehow. That's all I need. Nah, I'm just kidding. How could I leave you and here? But
you'd have to dial me into your podcast. I'll have to call in.
It'll be a call-in. So I'm learning about the War of 1812 too, and I had no real true understanding of Canada's role. But more importantly, Tecumseh was a wonderful leader for the Cheyenne people, and he was instrumental in that war. Of course, it didn't work out for the Canadians and the British, but for a long time, it looked like the U.S. was not going to win that war, and it was totally aggravated on our part. We brought that on, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the British did burn down the capital, but that was after. We pissed them off enough, and it was total aggression on our part. And here we are doing similar types of aggression now.
All kinds of aggression.
This perspective that, this whole thing with the 51st state and all that stuff is degrading. It's very, very dangerous. Don't do that no more. And then I was noting the first signs of spring. You seeing them?
I saw some skunk cabbage poking its head out.
Mm-hmm. Is there any reason to think that stinks or anything? Does it smell bad?
If you step on it, sure, it smells like skunk.
Oh, I didn't know that. Or just thought it was just a name because it had like a stripe down the back or something.
No, it does smell.
Well, I've seen the buds. The other kind of buds, daffodils, that kind of thing. Dog report, not so good.
No?
No, Clouseau's in trouble. You'll hear more about that when we get to the poetry time. And now we get to that section of the show where it's we talk about bullshit or not. Is it bullshit or is it not? Ashlyn, do you have a story for us in the bullshit category today? And she's looking at the sky ceiling, so maybe she doesn't.
No, I have something from my recent visit out west. And, I go to New Mexico frequently. So, but not that frequently that you don't notice things have changed. Like even here in Katunkwit, you don't go to the north end every week or drive every road. So when you do, you're like, what? That house is gone. This new mansion's been put up, things like that. So anyway, I was driving down the road and all of a sudden I see a castle. And I mean, not a big giant German castle, but a sort of castle. Medieval castle. And super shocking. It's turns out to be the home of R.R. Martin. Do you know R.R. Martin?
R.R. Railroad.
Game of Thrones, R.R. Martin.
Oh, no, I don't.
You never read the books or?
No, I'm not a Throne Okay.
Never saw the series?
I did not. I saw parts of it, and it didn't appeal to me.
Are you not a...
I'm
You're
a big
fantasy,
historian.
but
guy.
you don't like fantasy.
I dislike fantasy. I'm very much rooted in the real world.
Anyway, so yes.
Sorry.
That,
To all those out there that like it, and listen to our show, continue on.
So yes,
me.
that is my story.
And R.R. Martin is the originator.
The author of A Song of Fire and Ice, which
so
was
cool.
the series that started the whole thing, and then they made it into an HBO.
So the bullshit part?
Is it bullshit or not that R.R. Martin built a castle in Santa Fe?
I'm going to say yes. It's true.
It's bullshit. But
You got me.
he applied twice to the building and zoning people to build a castle. And he was denied. There's pretty strict in the city proper regulations about what you can build. You can either build in the territorial style or in adobe style. And this was sort of adobe, but it was still in the shape of a medieval castle. But the funniest part was I read that someone said he wasn't denied. He was just told, you can have your castle as soon as you finish the series. Because I don't know if you know this, but the TV thing got ahead of him, and he never finished the series. And so then the writers for HBO came up with their own.
Oh, that's wrong. Something wrong about that.
Well, I mean, and he, everybody's still waiting for his version of the end.
How are you going to, do that? Once people have something in their minds already, move on to something else. I'm sure he's working on something else. Well, that's an interesting not story.
Mm-hmm.
Do
you have
untruth.
Do you have a story for us?
I do. I have a couple. No, I have one. I think I have one. Yeah. This is a story. Is it bullshit or not? Beatrice von Stauffenberg of Ruggles Drive. Are you familiar with Beatrice?
Ruggles Drive in Catunquit or in
Catunquit,
Newport?
Yeah. It's in the pot sticker part of town.
Mm-hmm.
Down there where the pot stickers are that way. I'm pointing to my left and to Ashland's right. Near the set of the Bump Out Islands. Where that famous singer lives?
You mean the pierogies?
Oh, the pierogies. I call them pot stickers. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, people call them pot stickers too, don't they?
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's where Cormorant Island is.
Oh, true. Well, so anyway.
So she lives over there.
Yeah, and she's the daughter of the infamous Nazi Colonel von Stauffenberg. I don't know if you know that name, but who attended a meeting with Hitler and detonated a satchel bomb beneath the table where the meeting was taking place, killing many in the room except Hitler. So true. And Hitler lost some of his hearing, this is all true, and was badly shaken by the attempt. 200 considered to be co-conspirators were murdered in the wake of the attempt on Hitler's life. Beatrice escaped into Spain and then to Portugal, to the Azorian Islands, and then 6 years after the war in 1953, she married a former German prisoner of war who was imprisoned at Catunquit Fort, where the park is now.
Mm-hmm.
And that was until 1946. He was there. In 1953, John Bremen, the former prisoner of war, was vacationing in the Azorian Islands of San Miguel, where he met Beatrice von Stauffenberg. They married immediately upon return to Catunquit, Rhode Island, and in the United States, and then have lived in the Catunquit for 72 years. Beatrice is now 96, still volunteers at the senior center. Is it bullshit, or is it not?
That story is so well developed, I'm going to say it's bullshit.
It is true. Absolutely true. Our own Beatrice von Stauffenberg of Ruggles Drive in Catunquit. So not the one in Newport, the one in Catunquit. Imagine that. And she is. She cleans the tables after the meal. So there you have that.
That is a good story.
Yeah, such an interesting life she led, and to have met and then lived here and brought family into the Bremens, whole family. Bremens are all here. So something good came from that war after all, didn't it? Well, it's now that part of the show where we must thank some of our sponsors and provide some public service announcements. So, what's happening in Katunkwit? Pretty cool ideas going on here. The annual spring cleaning yard sale will take place at the ball fields on Johnson's Avenue at the school on Saturday, March 8th at 8 a.m., extending to noon. This event does not permit the cleaning of the following: dogs or any farm animals on site. I guess that means at the school, correct? At the ball fields. Cannot bring your dogs or your farm animals and clean them. Personal private areas on one's person. That's probably always a no at the ball fields, right?
I would think so.
Unless in an emergency, but you might want to do that in the woods or something, and then that might be sketchy. No live animals are permitted to be sold on site. I think that's a good rule. Maybe. Is that a good rule?
I don't think we allow any animals on site at any time. Unless they're service animals.
Good point. And let's not sell them, right? So like rabbits and things like that, I think that's associated with spring. I had a rabbit,
You did?
I just think it was just so cruel that I kept it in a cage. I have a whole backyard full of rabbits now.
Are they the offspring of your rabbits?
No, they were just wild, live rabbits. But when I was a child, I had it. And you know how he died? It was terrible. My father, who thought he was doing the right thing at the time, killing the bugs in the grass with pesticide, and I was always the person that cut the lawn. I cut the lawn, and hey, why buy pelletized food? Here it is, right here, in the form of grass, all chopped up. So you poisoned
your rabbit?
And he died. Not intentionally. So sorry. But the worst part was that he was in a cage. This rabbit we shouldn't have had a caged rabbit. No good. No bartering for exchange of services is permitted at the ASC, Annual Spring Clean. And no food of any kind.
What can you do at this event?
That was the question. I think you just bring your crap, put it out there, and then put price tags on it, and people will buy it. Which is good. Get rid of this stuff. The annual plant handoff. I think we had talked about this last year at this time. I think we're coming up on our anniversary, too.
We should have an anniversary party.
I think our episode anniversary party, right? I like this idea. The annual plant handoff will take place at the Katunkwit Recreation Center building Saturday, March 15th from noon till 5 p.m. Outdoors if weather permits. We'll provide foster care for your plants and replace your plant with a healthy plant during the foster care period. Katunkwit Garden Club volunteer May Sinclair says, "No guarantees, but we usually don't kill too many plants as long as they come in to us in time. No fees required, but a donation to the CGC is welcome. Suggested donation, 1 bag of dark earth organic healthy soil." Isn't that pleasant?
Nice.
Nice event. I've been to it. I still have the most beautiful, this every year. And what did we get there? They make heroin from it. What's that? Poppies. Right. Still have the poppies. The beautiful ones that look like the Dutch ones.
Although those are not the ones the perennial poppies are not the ones that they...
Oh, I knew you'd know. I wasn't planning on, harvesting them.
Harvesting the poppy seeds.
No. These poppies are the color of the Dutch flag. Beautiful. Salmon. Hey, this is an interesting one. Cappy and Marin's, Marin apostrophe S, Cat Boutique, located on Catunquit, Maine, between the hardware store and the Fresh Catch seafood store. Do you know about the seafood store?
No, is this new?
They're not publicizing. I'm not supposed to say too much about them because they're not giving us any cash, but it's right there near the Cat Boutique. CMCB, whatever it is, CMCB is a Cappy's and Marin's Cat Boutique, is seeking cat-loving humans who are good with cats and who tolerate human beings and are willing to serve tea, coffee, and an array of fine Danish, all while caring for 16 carefully selected empathy cats that laze around the cat boutique and interact with the clientele.
So the volunteers need to be good with cats and tolerate humans.
Yeah, it says they're not volunteers. These are people who are going to get paid. CMCB is seeking cat-loving humans who are good with cats and who tolerate human beings. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, think about...
Because I guess some cat
That's the point.
Lovers don't tolerate other humans.
And cats are just tolerant of humans. It's interesting. But these cats are more loving. Boutique can interact with the clientele. Sale of overpriced cat items is also a subordinate objective. Come into Cappy and Marin's boutique between the hours of noon and 3 p.m. any day and have a personal interview with the cats. Now, on that topic, I heard you laugh a little bit, which is not a normal thing for you. So don't get carried away with yourself.
I was thinking, you can rent a baby goat.
Oh, yeah, to walk on your back?
No, a baby goat won't do anything to your back.
What's a... I could use it right now. My back's hurting.
You need an adult goat.
I need an adult goat.
No, just for amusement. For $50, you can have the baby goat for the day, and
I should do that for my daughter's birthday.
it would be really fun.
Yeah, both of them. We could celebrate both daughters' birthday with the goat thing. That's a good idea. They both have now cats, so I'm a grandcat dad. Lots of cats. There's 2 in one house in New Jersey, northern New Jersey, and there's one right there in the heart of it, in the East Village. And we have 2 of them are named Cappy and Marin, so they happen to have the same names. So anyway, we have a new restaurant report. We went to a new restaurant called Criteria, and seating at the bar was tight. So this is the report. And I saw my neighbor, and I was interested in sitting over on that side, but it was so tight that the stools were so I couldn't even get in there. But granted, I'm having a little bit of issue moving around lately, so we moved to the other end of the bar, and I hope I didn't offend my neighbor.
How was the food?
Bartender, great. I haven't got there yet. Oyster stew. I had the oyster stew. Very tasty. 4 oysters in it. Recently shucked, seemingly, like immediately, and they put them in the stew very quickly because they were just, very nice and they weren't overcooked. Except there wasn't enough soup to cover these oysters. It was so little soup. It was 3 spoonfuls of soup. The same issue I'm having everywhere I go with you on, important nights like December 31st, for instance.
Did you watch the menu yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So, not enough stew there. Delicious tasting.
So they were kind of like in a kiddie pool instead of in the...
I mean, when I say 3 spoons, it was 3 spoons, and then I was like thinking, should I mop this up or not? It just tasted delicious, but please, put some food in the plate. Everybody's going to think I'm just
What else did you have?
curmudgeon. Then we had those fries, with that special type of mushroom. What's it called?
Truffle.
Truffle fries. Again.
Not enough?
Not even close. Like way off. And a little thimble full of freaking fries. And it was like $13. I should have got the regular fries. They were about $8 or $9. Too much money for not much. Just the taste. 3 drinks total. Not 3 drinks each, but 3 drinks total.
Mm-hmm.
Caesar salad. $100. 100 plus. A little too much.
Did Eva like it?
I think she liked being out, hanging out, and the Caesar salad was excellent.
So the food was all good. It just wasn't enough.
Caesar salad was fine sized. So my message to Criteria: if you're going to serve an oyster stew, that's a hearty thing. That's it should be meal-like. Or maybe a little less than that, right?
Right, but stew, I mean, you figure that after you have the stew, you probably aren't going to have any room for dessert.
Yeah. Well, our staple restaurant is over the bridge. It's the one that we go to a lot. It's called, Rum Tip Cisco. You know that one? Food is great. Atmosphere loud. Service is outstanding. But the owners love Robert Kennedy and hosted a fundraiser for him at the restaurant. So disqualifies. That's a disqualifier for me. How about you? I'm doing protests everywhere.
What's my favorite restaurant?
No. Is that a protest? Non-going. Like, I'm not doing any certain companies that send stuff in the mail a lot and drive around our neighborhoods.
I've stopped shopping there. I've been buying directly from vendors.
Me too.
And
it's a little more. It's a little more time, but if that's what we have to do, then that's what we have to do. I'm not buying from them.
Yep.
And others. What's your favorite restaurant?
That's a good question, but you know how I get easily bored, so I got to keep moving around.
Okay. Keep that going. Okay, now, here we are. I think we talked about Mike's sculptures in the past.
Maybe.
Okay, maybe not. Order now Mike's Miracle Sculptures. This is miracles. I'm talking miracles now. Mike uses Katunkwit found seashore objects to create his miracle-making sculptures. So you will experience a true connection with Mike's work of art. Each handcrafted sculpture stands 12 to 18 inches in height and are developed on a natural wooden base and made of old, used wooden oars. Isn't that nice? Mike guarantees miracles because Mike takes the time to hand bless each element as he hand sands each item. Miracles range in price from $75 to $100. A small price to pay for a guaranteed miracle.
Do you have one of his sculptures?
Too much money.
So you don't know if you actually get a miracle or not?
I doubt it. Oh, sorry, Mike.
You're a skeptic.
Portraits by Mabel Etheridge, the renowned portraitist, is offering 6 slots for the upcoming year for portrait painting. At Mabel Etheridge's studios, located on Bull Point, Rat Tails Hollow Road, you will be treated to the old world tradition of sitting for a portrait, just as those that had their portrait painted in the days prior to photography. Sit twice a week at Miss Etheridge's studio for 2 months, and she will paint a priceless portrait of you dressed in the manner you choose. No nudity, no hats. Miss Etheridge doesn't paint hats well. First 6 persons with appropriate credentials will be selected to sit for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Seats start, get this, $100,000, and total price is based on the complexity and the volume of the subject. So if you're a little bit
heavy,
you're
really big, you use more paint.
Exactly. So there we have Ms. Etheridge. Do you know her work though? Phew, wow. It's known to be as strong as some of the Gilbert Stewart stuff.
But
You know,
would I pay that much money? No.
I think she was involved with some of the portraits at the White House. Yeah. Would you pay that much money?
No.
I don't think anybody should see my face and have to pay at all for my image. I mean, you may have to have a pretty big ego to drop $100K and to sit for 2 times a week, twice 2 hours a time for 2 months. I don't know.
I think you have to pay me to do that.
Yeah, you could sculpt. You could sculpt the heads. You could sculpt her, I have to say. You and a bunch of folks over there are really sculpting some very interesting pieces of clay.
Is Eva still enjoying her?
She is.
Class there?
She's enjoying it, yes. You would enjoy it more if things weren't so effed up in the country. Okay, now we can do this. I put them all on at once. Oh, well, here we have a topic that you might have an interest in. This short story today. I thought we were gonna have a little poem first. Maybe we will. Let's do a poem first. Are we okay with a poem?
Sure.
I just wanted to pay tribute to my wonderful dog, Clouseau. Some of you know a little bit about Clouseau. And it's going to require that I do find this particular document.
I think it's at the end.
Is it? Oh, really? Did I put it at the end? Let's see it. No, it's not at the end. Well, maybe it is, but it's not showing up in mine. You want to read it?
I can't because I do not have it in front of me.
Okay, well, I'll find... just if you could talk to the listening audience while I find this document. I'm sure it won't take me long.
On your laptop.
Yeah, that's a stumble. That's the best part. Here it is. Okay. So this poem is entitled Clouseau, and that's my dog. And Clouseau is 16 and a half years old. He's a corgi, and he's I think about a Pembroke. Is that what it is? But it's a Pembroke with a tail. So I'm really, he's a love. He's an absolute love, yes. So it is. Clouseau. A long farewell cuts me most. A thorough understanding of impending loss. Dogged days of degrading urine trails. Deepening understanding in your eyes. Yet somewhere within a puppy still lies, as you muster 5 minutes of playful steps from legs and hips twisted and torn while your incessant thirst grows. I fill your water bowl. Still great company, always at the poet's side. You leave me to decide, to determine your fate as I look into your sad eyes, eyes that barely see. It's good you can't hear. For therefore you likely sleep without fear and dream of me coming home. Your legs twitch and you smile some. But for months I've not heard you bark. And our walks have become very short. You seem to nuzzle bushes with great interest, seeking the memory of a long-lost love interest, licking leaves for you've lost your sense of smell. I hope it's not a dog's equivalent of living hell. When spring's steady thaw gets hold, I intend to dig a burial hole in the flower patch of blue and crimson and gold, beneath where last summer we planted purple cosmos. That's right where you'll go. Not today. Look at you. You still play. Tomorrow will come. Each day's like 7, but we'll enjoy today's gentle breezes. It's not time for leaving. It's my little poem about Clouseau.
It's tough when they get old.
It is. I mean, so difficult to make these determinations, and why does it have to be me? I guess it's me because somebody has to, right?
Yep.
Rights of way. So this is the rights of way, and this is a topic that you have an interest in, right?
Yeah.
Typically, like you use the rights of way.
I do use some of our rights of way. Yes.
Sometimes you abuse them. Well, you shouldn't. Well, you shouldn't be camping on the rights of way. Have you done that? Wait a minute.
Have I camped on a Katunquit right away? No.
No. Okay. Rights of Way by James Allen. Sandy Malachi leaves the house early again. She likes to hear the birds readying for spring from within the cedar trees marking the edges of her property. She checks her map when outside again, but she knows it by heart. She hadn't been to this right-of-way to the water before, and today she was intent on knocking off yet another right-of-way. To this point, she had discovered 6 and formally forced the town to clear the space, permitting townspeople to gain access to the water. But it's taken too long for her liking. Sandy knows the map of the old paper roads outlining properties that never were developed. Rich property owners bought multiple small lots to create larger parcels that extend right up to the town's idea of settlement that dates back to the 1950s, including only postage stamp lots and high summer-only transient population. The old ideas didn't correspond to the wealthiest of the population infiltrating town, and as they continued to buy multiple lots to protect themselves from each other, it's all changed. Sandy contemplates all this and shakes her head as the thoughts of the town she remembers flood to her memory. Sandy joined the Rights of Way Task Force 3 years ago and had been frustrated with the experience of being on a government task force without any power to change policy. It seems to Sandy that in Katunquit, there are a lot of one-issue folks that get the ear of the town council, and then decisions are made that affect many. Yet were brought forward by only a single citizen and their hired group of lawyers. Sandy is fighting it all, and she's carrying an axe, a bow saw, a machete, and a pair of long-handled clippers in her backpack as she waits for Martin Tanamaker to join her. She had been friends with Martin since first buying on the north end of Katunquit in 1997. She met Tanamaker at a beekeepers' meeting at the North End clubhouse not long after she moved in. They've been friends since. They both had 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and one girl each, and a boy and a girl, and one girl each, and I don't know how that is. And their spouses get along well, too, as they share meals, attend concerts together, and participate in ski events during the winter months. Martin works for the University of Rhode Island at the Graduate School of Oceanography, is working on deep water mining of manganese nodules that form on the ocean's floor. He hasn't figured out how to mine these minerals located in the deepest waters of the southern oceans without messing up the environment, including animals that live entirely on hot sulfur rivers flowing from the depths of the earth. Sandy finds him and his work to be interesting, but his demeanor to be officious and that of a stereotypical scientist. She notices that his speech patterns are a bit stunted, sometimes halting, but she always admires his perspective about many topics and finds him to be fascinating. She waits eagerly to go on their journey together as Martin trudges up the driveway with the blade of his battery-charged chainsaw emerging from his backpack. "Ahoy, Mrs. Malachi!" Martin calls out like a pirate, while quickening his pace. "Nostrovia!" Sandy responds in Russian, one of many European languages she speaks. "Russian today. Yet. That's all I know. Russian. Of Russian. Cheers," he says, while raising one empty hand. He approaches, hand out, and they shake oddly, not hand to hand, but forearm to forearm, as if creatures from an alien land greeting one another. Martin completes the vigorous forearm shake with a shoulder-to-the-shoulder bump. "Easy, Tiger," Sandy calls out, backing away from his advance. She has been clear with Martin in the past about his advances, but he continually pushes the edge of what is appropriate with Sandy. She puts up with it, but she's nevertheless aware. Ignoring her comment, Martin slaps her shoulder blade awkwardly and says, "Where are we off to this morning?" "Did you study your map?" Sandy says disgustedly. "It's all here," Martin says while pointing at his temple. "I have a compass. Does that count?" he asks while reaching in his pocket and producing a tiny Boy Scout-style compass. "Where to, then?" Sandy asks abruptly. "Stanton to Winslow and then down Umbridge. That'll get us out west and maintained roads, and then we're bushwhacking paper roads for about 300 yards till we get to the Talasti. That's it, Talasti property, and the right-of-way abuts that. Am I right?" Sandy opens her map and recalls Martin's path, mumbling, "Stanton, Winslow, Umbridge, yes, yeah. Yeah, that's right." "Well, let's get on it then," Martin says as he walks beyond Sandy, almost abandoning her while she moves briskly up Stanton Road as his pack and its contents strain his shoulders. Sandy hustles and catches up with Martin. "You shouldn't have brought a chainsaw. Too loud," Sandy says. "It's battery-powered. It'll be for the big stuff. If they planted some bigger trees," Martin says confidently. "Okay, but the Talisties are powerful people. She was a state senator or something. She'll call the cops right away if she hears us cutting trees," Sandy advises. "We could just walk down her driveway and ask her if she's okay with us opening up the right-of-way to the rest of the town," Martin says. "It's more fun to spring it on them, isn't it? And besides, the bushwhacking on the paper road will open up a trail for visitors," Sandy says. "Turn here on Winslow," Martin says. "Which way?" Sandy asks him, even though she knows to go right on Winslow. "I thought you know the way," Martin says. "You're doing it again. It's called weaponized incompetence. So clutter your brain for once, and maybe I can ask you next time." I didn't mean to do that, Sandy. You're so smart, and you always know. If I had to guess and you weren't here, I'd go, right?" Martin says. "Okay, then we'll go right," Sandy says. "Why don't you open your map?" Martin asks. "Lost it." Sandy lies, reaching into her front pocket of her jeans, while knowing that the map is in her back pocket. "Well, that's just great," Martin says. "We'll get there. Trust your instincts. It's all right here," Sandy says while pointing to her temple and jabbing an index finger on the spot near his eye, or pointing to his temple. Martin backs away while shouting, Hey, what's up with that? And by the way, you lost the map." Sandy pulls the map from her back pocket. "You found it?" "Never lost it," Sandy says. "Right on Winslow, left on Umbridge. Should be heading west for a quarter mile. Let's go. I've tested you enough," Sandy says with a smirk. Weaponized incompetence. That's a good one. My graduate students do that to me all the time. I didn't realize that I was doing that too. "I'm sorry, Sandy," Martin apologized. "We're good. Sorry's a nice word. Don't do it again or I'll slap you with some other descriptions in modern lingo of what you and all the other guys do to women," Sandy articulates. Weaponized incompetence is what we intend to use if Talistes comes out of her west-facing shoreline mansion, Martin. I guess he's asking that. I'll show her the map, if she lets me. More likely a shouting match, like that abandoned right-of-way we found opened up near the bridge. Remember that one, Sandy recalls? Those are just regular folks in converted bungalows. We're heading toward a modern mansion, Martin says as he breathes hard while heading up the last of Winslow's Hill. Kind of steep, isn't it? Martin asked the obvious. Sandy isn't out of breath. Her auburn ponytail bounces mid-back as Sandy steps up her pace as she approaches Umbridge at the corner and waits for Martin to catch up. Too many months at sea on that research vessel. Has you out of shape, old man, Sandy says with a laugh as Martin stumbles up to Sandy and places his head below his waist. That's a good hill for Katunkwit, Martin says in a breath he heaves. That's not a hill. So you know, it's a downhill on Umbridge Road from here, Sandy says. You're right on two accounts. I'm out of shape, and that's really not a hill. Martin laughs as he raises his head. The two walk downhill on Umbridge and can see in the distance where the road ends. Martin removes his compass as they walk. Due west. This road is exactly due west from my memory of the map. The paper road runs west to... so we can get to the end here. We should just continue. West, Sandy says as she moves her own handheld SEI store-bought brand-new compass from her left pocket. The commission bought them for everyone. You must have missed that meeting when you were out at sea. That work shit can dig into your other interests, Sandy says. You're right about that, but I love it. It might make a difference someday when we figure out how to safely mine the deepest oceans. We'll need to rely on Eastern Europe for our precious metals, Martin pontificates. That might be good. Didn't Trump just try to shake down the president of Ukraine over some of those precious metals, Sandy asks. Yeah, don't get me started about that man. He doesn't believe in science. Everything is so transactional. I do this, and you do that. Christ, it's awful, Martin says. Are you close to figuring it all out, Sandy asks. I'm not going to figure that man out. He's like the wind, Martin says. No, the manganese nodules, the mining. When will you be done? She asks. Timeline is up to 5 more years, but they're threatening cuts to the ocean vessel and research. Anything that travels to the other countries, that respects people's rights and may help others. It's on the way out. I'm sure of it, Martin says dejectedly. They reach the end of Umbridge Road and go over a poison ivy-encrusted, crumbled stone wall. We'll have to move some of these stones and make a breach in the wall, Sandy yells back at Martin, who's already moving rocks. Not now. Let's hack our way to the property line and see it's marked in any way. See if it's marked. Come on, Sandy says. Okay, just getting a start. It makes sense, though. I'm coming, Martin returns. I figure we'll cut a half-assed trail, take some photos of the trail and the entry point at the beginning, and then maybe get something going when we get to the actual right of way so we can get the council down here to see it, Sandy says. They won't come unless it's cut out. If we wait for the council, no one will ever reach the water in Katunkwit. Let's just do it and use it, and then we'll grandfather it into use. After the cat's out of the bag and people become aware of this place, everyone will be swimming and clamming down here. I mean, look at this trail. It's beautiful. There's deer, rabbits, Squirrels. You can hear the birds. Sandy, the birds, Martin announces. You're right. Screw the Talistes. They've had it their way for long enough, never sharing, and they know the right-of-way is there because they try to buy it. Mary at the town clerk's office told me off the record that they approach the town every few years trying to buy the right-of-way, Sandy says. So we'd better be quiet, like you said, Martin says. Look up, above your head. See the ladder? That's a deer stand for hunting in the tree. It's right in the middle of the paper road by my calculations. That'll have to go. For sure, Sandy remarks. Not this trip. You were right before when you said, let's get to the water today, Martin said. Stop for a second. Listen, can you hear it? Can you hear the waves? We're almost there. The house should be south of the property line, abutting the right-of-way. My compass has us still due west, and this GPS I brought should put us right on the coordinates. Sandy produces a handheld GPS from her pocket and holds it up. You've had it all the time? You son of a biatch, Martin responds. Life is a test, remember? So you'd better be prepared, Sandy says emphatically. Yeah, you can't just start carving up somebody's side yard without having some proof, Martin says. I have a copy of the plot map, too, Sandy says. Biatch, Martin says in a hushed tone. You smell bacon cooking, he asks. Good. They're busy eating breakfast. Means they won't be outside inspecting the grounds, Sandy hypothesizes. Okay, right about here is where the paper road extends to the water, and the easternmost part of the Talisty property line is located. I think we should plan out how we cut through. It's a tangled mess, Sandy says. It's bad here because they seemingly throw all their dead trees in the right-of-way, Martin says. Don't they all? It happens everywhere we go. Some of them plant ornamental shrubs. Remember when we had that one on the end of Snoop Street, and that asshole had it barricaded with 30-foot western arborvitaes? Sandy remembers. The town of Katunquit backed us up that time, and the Department of Public Works cut the trees, Martin says. I honestly didn't think they'd care out here because no one knows about this place, Sally says. Talisty knows because he's trying to buy it, Martin says. The two work hastily, cutting brush and tossing it to the side of the narrow trail, cutting through bullbriars, tangled japonicus, and eventually through rows of groza when they reached the water's edge, right about noon. As they approach the beach area, they see a brace of Talises walking through the heavy sand and rocks, laboring as the two elderly people trudge through the tough terrain. Oh no, get ready. The shit's about to rain down on us, Sandy advises. Martin begins walking toward the Talistes, now only 10 yards away. What the fuck do you think you're doing to my property? Benjamin Talisty screams at the top of his lungs. Martin stops approaching the group with Sandy behind him as she bumps into Martin's huge backpack with a saw blade emerging. It hits her in the chest. She rubs her chest to feel for blood spots. Discovering she isn't hurt, she reaches for the plot and lot maps and the GPS. We're making a path on the rightful right-of-way that abuts your property. I have it all here, Sandy says while holding the plot maps up for them to see. No one told you to do this. This is my land, Talisty insists. I can show you it's not, Sally returns. I don't care about your maps. It's always been like this, and I don't want it to change, Nancy Talisty, a former state official, says calmly with an authoritarian demeanor. Well, these town-owned spaces are for all the residents, not just you and your guests, Sandy says, I'll be goddamned if anyone's going to come down here fishing and clamming out in front of my house and ruin my view, Ben Talisty says. It'll all be squid boxes and bait campfires before you know it, Nancy Talisty says. Yeah, Asians and Mexicans, that's what it'll be. Asians and Mexicans. Asians and Mexicans, Benjamin Talisty responds viciously with some racist remarks. Now, wait a minute. You don't own this land, and you don't own the water line up to a point like 15 feet above the highest rack line in the month of June. So don't start disparaging groups of people that may want to use this pathway, Martin states. I'm calling the Katunkwit Police Department, Nancy says, her index finger tapping the numbers slowly as she pecks away. I want the chief now. It's Nancy Talisty, number 1, Umbridge Extension Road A. Yes, Extension Road A, off of... Jesus Christ, you must know where I live. You're the goddamn police department. Just put the chief on, please. Now. Nancy stands waiting, her mouth curiously open, as if she has had a recent stroke, her mouth tilted to one side. Chief, it's me, Nancy Talisty. No, it's not the shotgun blast. No, I've got 2 people clearing brush and making a path on my property, and I want you out here now to arrest them. Hold it. I'm a citizen, and I've got proof here that we're working on town-owned property. So why involve the police? Sandy asks. Nancy holds her phone at shoulder height so the chief can hear the conversation. Because there hasn't been any notice, no warning, and I don't even know who you 2 are, and it's my land, Nancy Talisty states. Hold on, Chief. Just a minute, Chief. Wait. Chief, wait. Well, I'm Samantha Tumult, and my associate is Steve Vasquez, and I assure you that the public will know of this new right-of-way, but for now we have to leave. No more questions, Sally says while grabbing Martin and scrambling past the Rosa Rugosa and the Bullbriars. They run all the way to the stone wall and climb down to the street, scoot through the backyards and cross over to Stanton Street and hold up in Sally's kitchen drinking coffee and eating tuna salad sandwiches until the police cars seem to finally vacate the neighborhood. Sally gives Martin a ride home. She parks on the street in front of his house. Martin exits the car and comes around to Sally's open driver's side window. He kind of squats down. His head peeks into the open window. I can't believe we did it, he says. So cool. We finished before they even found out. No red tape, Sally responds. Martin leans into the car window and kisses Sally on the mouth. Sally's dumbfounded, just drives away, but backs up fast in reverse, scratching the tires while opening the passenger side window. Martin sheepishly peeks in. You want to go fishing tomorrow down to Talisty's, she asks. Martin smiles. Yeah, sure. Same time. You get the bait, Sally says as she drives off. The end. Rights of way.
I detect notes of an adventure that you and I had at one time.
I didn't kiss you on the mouth.
Absolutely not. Stuart was there.
I know he was. But there was a lot of tension. Do you remember the tension?
Yeah, the neighbor came out, right?
I think it was before, there was, well, maybe not before Trump, but before there was lots of Trumpish type activities in Katunkwit. But there were, there seems to be people that have their spaces, and they just want to keep their spaces just as the spaces have always been.
Mm-hmm. I remember when he saw us, he was okay with us because we didn't look like immigrants,
Yes.
but he badmouthed the types of people he was looking out for.
Interesting that you have such a vivid memory of this moment too. And it is disgraceful that people, not sure people, that citizens of this community degrade the fishing population in any way, shape, or form. Particularly because the people that are fishing there are expert fishermen at catching fish, and a lot of times they're supplementing, protein in the diet for the
Right,
family.
yeah. They're good fishermen because they rely on it.
Exactly. And there's just something very wrong about someone concerned about their view. I think every fisherman is responsible to keep a clean space when they're doing their fishing, and maybe they shouldn't have a campfire, but that's a police issue. That's not... A right of way is a right of way. And we have to think about this as we're going forward with a lot of these issues that we're dealing with in society now. Because, what we thought was right, and it's still right,
But it's being questioned.
but it's being questioned. So, and particularly with persons that are particularly powerful, that have particularly great wealth, they use that wealth against you and I to remove rights, and this is a right of way. So maybe this is a pertinent story. Pertinent, is that the right word? Perhaps. So do you have anything else to say about that?
No, I agree. We need to protect our rights of way. We need to protect all of our rights.
Yeah, not just the rights of way.
Yeah.
It's all of our rights. So true. I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I was curious, how is your solar-powered car working out?
My solar powered car, it's fantastic when the sun shines.
Well, you're generating electricity for your home unit, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And do you have the splits? What are they called? I don't even know what they're called.
Mini splits?
Mini splits?
No.
So you're still heating with wood and what else? Oil?
No. I do have a large heat pump, but it's not a mini split.
Oh, okay. I don't know how that works, but I'm glad that you have a large heat pump. That's good. Everybody needs one of those in their lives, right? As an energy induction system, whatever that is. So here you are. Here we are. We've come to the end of the day. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. I'll take care of yourself. I hope you're feeling better on the flip side, hip side, lip side.
Thank you.